Censorship, 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 censorship. I know. Well, apparently, Marco Rubio and the Trump administration have shut down a Biden-era censorship agency. I hope that's true, but I fear that it's been renamed and removed and put somewhere else and given a nice new name. But what is it? So, former President Joe Biden set up the State Department's Global Engagement Center, GEC, in 2016 to recognize, understand, expose, and counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation. Now, this agency did play a role in censoring many Americans. During the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration were pretty rough on us. And anyone that was involved in independent media, be it the left or the right. Libertarians, Greens, activists, independents, progressives. Yeah, even Trump supporters too. I'm going to throw everybody in there, all in the same bag. And as much as I would like to think that this administration is not going to have something familiar, all I know is that when you have the all-seeing eye of Sauron, the all-seeing eye of Big Brother, nobody with power is going to give that up, because if you say something wrong, political police, Commissariat Hans and Deputy Fritz, hello, are at the door. That's what's going to happen. So Rubio was interviewed by Ben Shapiro. The guy talks real fast about this, deep state agency. Okay. Now, why, of all places here, that he's going to have this conversation, but let's listen to it, shall we? I'm getting afraid here, folks. Kit Cabell's getting a little afraid here.
So let's talk about this major move that you just made at the State Department, getting rid of a big chunk of the censorship bureaucracy that had been created and pushed a while back, but then exacerbated over the course of the last few years, hidden. What's the story with what you are doing over at the State Department to get rid of the body formerly known as the Global Engagement Center?
Yeah, I think you have to understand the history behind it. It's real brief. They started it by saying, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these terrible groups are radicalizing people online. We should do something about it. And, back when they came up with that 12 years ago, whatever it was, people are like, whatever makes sense. And then it metastasized. And it's like, oh, there's foreign interference in our elections. We need to start going after that. Well, then by 2020, it became a moment to go after voices inside of American politics and begin to label people. And they put a guy in charge who basically was going around saying,
I just noticed that too. Kevin Madison says, why does Marco Rubio look AI enhanced? God, that is, there was a lawyer who apparently was afraid to do public speaking, and he was representing some tech company, and he hired an AI program to speak for him. And the judge was like, hey, take that down. Are you afraid to speak? And this guy just didn't know how to speak. I could see that happening somewhere down the road, where you have politicians having an AI version of themselves speaking. I could see that happening. Kevin, good eye, but I think this is just Rubio lighted it a certain way.
Saying Trump speaks just like these foreign terrorists. His supporters speak just like these foreign terrorists. So now you have an individual running a State Department entity that was labeling American speech by Americans as foreign interference. And then really the kicker was, not only were they doing all that formally from the State Department, but they were taking State Department money and they were giving it to these third-party groups who were supposed to be like independent, verified arbiters of what's true and what isn't, what's good and what's bad. And these groups were deliberately targeting, I believe you were one of the ones they targeted, I think the Federalists, began putting labels on people. Now you may say, okay, well, what's the importance of the label? Well, that's not just the issue here. The issue is not only did they put labels on people, that was then used to go to social media companies. It was used to go to outlets and say, you have to deplatform these people, or you have to cut back on how much views they're getting.
It's still happening. It's still happening. It's still happening. Torwin says, you're doing the exact same thing, you psychopaths, because heaven forbid, you give some criticism towards the administration or any other foreign country. What Rubio's talking about was the liberal knee-jerk. And you know what? Hold on. Hey, vote blue, no matter who. I want to talk to you latte drinking liberals. I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. Right? All y'all cheering for deplatforming, censorship, demonetization, remove him off social media, remove her off of social media, shadow ban this, do that. Told you it was going to come back to haunt you. I mean, a lot of you liberals, man, you know, when you guys were super on board for the censorship, you know, yes, the Biden machine is being dismantled. But if you don't think Trump is going to do a click, copy, paste, you're gravely mistaken. And thank you, Vote Blue, no matter who, for giving no criticism, confidence all high to Kamala and Joe Biden to set it all up. Thank you, you nutless wonders. Because now, guess what? The blueprint has been set up. And if you don't think that the opposite party is going to do the same thing, you have not been paying attention. I kept giving this warning to everyone who's all on board for censorship or abusing the YouTube system or abusing, you know, we got to deplatform, censorship, demonetize, remove, all this kind of stuff. I gave this warning. And no one didn't seem to listen, or everyone's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, in many ways, this is a personal level because it hits close to home. And you, the rest of you viewers who may not have a video platform or a podcast, if you want to post an article on Facebook, Instagram, X, or whatever, maybe make a comment on a YouTube video. I've been getting a lot of messages from people saying like, hey, I can't comment. Hey, I can't do this. Hey, I can't do that. All of us remember the Hunter Biden laptop story. If you tried to post that on Facebook or X, oh, you couldn't post it until all the 50 experts were proven that proven wrong that the Hunter Biden laptop story was true. So great. Thanks. Brilliant chess moves, Democrats and liberals who were all on board for deplatforming and censorship. Brilliant move. Let's continue on because Rubio's saying that they dismantled the GEC. We'll talk more about it. Hang on.
Have to go after them, in essence, silence them. So in essence, it metastasized and the metamorphosis into a government-run entity that was targeting political speech in America, labeling it disinformation, and silencing it. All paid for by the American taxpayers directly and indirectly. And that ends. So what happened when we took over, right before we took over, they got rid of this Global Engagement Center. They renamed it and moved it somewhere else. But, you know, renaming something doesn't change it. You still leave the thing around. So we've undertaken, 12 weeks of looking, how do we reorganize this whole thing? How do we get rid of it? And that's what we're announcing today is we're taking the whole thing down, and it's about $50 million. I mean, it's not a small amount of money. And we're not going to be in the business of doing this anymore. In fact, we're going to be in the business of promoting free speech in America and around the world as a core American value.
Say that to the student protesters who are getting arrested.
And that really is what we're going to be about right now. And we're also going to go back and look at, as an accountability project, all of the instances in which this was used as a weapon against American political voices. And the reason why that's important is not just because of accountability, it's to make sure it never happens again. You document these things so that someone in the future, when they get some bright idea like this, realize, why we shouldn't do it, because this is what it turns into.
And Secretary Rubio, it's a really good object lesson in what happens with some of these government agencies, which start off decades ago with the right purposes and then gradually are infiltrated by people with a significant...
No, they never have any right purposes. Okay? No, it doesn't. All this is a knee-jerk reaction to a changing environment where most people get their news online, okay? And I get it. There are bad people out there, but I believe that the world is filled with good people, and enough people can sniff out the BS. The problem is when you have an establishment system and corporate media that causes us to be divided and hate each other. Simple.
And political partisan agenda, who then proceed to weaponize these institutions against Americans. We've seen this in USAID. Obviously, we see this
Correct.
Here with the GEC turned into another sort of body that was then hidden inside these agencies. And when people like President Trump talk about the deep state, this is the kind of stuff that he's talking about.
Yes. Whoop-de-doo with all that rock and roll music. So I want to pull up this article here just to share it with all you lovely, beautiful people. The U.S. has officially shut down a government agency that Secretary Marco Rubio has said was used by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans, also known as the Global Engagement Center. On Wednesday, Rubio announced a closure of the GEC, which had been operating as a counter-foreign information manipulation and interference office since December. Under the previous administration, this office, which cost taxpayers more than $50 million per year, spent millions of dollars to actively silence, censor the voices of Americans they were supposed to be serving. This is antithetical to the very principles we should be upholding, and inconceivable it was taking place in America. Well, gee, it's still kind of going on. In an interview with conservative activist Mike Benz, published on Wednesday, Rubio said the GEC was originally conceived as a tool to fight extremism such as propaganda from Al-Qaeda and ISIS, but later started going after individual American voices. This is true. Of course, this is what happens when you have the aftermath of Russiagate and people so mentally deranged they hate Russia, and Putin, woogie boogie 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 boogie, causes people to say, "Oh yeah, let's give up more of our freedoms. That's a good idea. Let's trust Big Brother government. What could go possibly wrong as I'm getting screwed up the wazoo, by trusting the agencies and the political police?" We ended government-sponsored censorship in the United States through the State Department. I Hold on. You know what? We're going to have democracy in the chat. Is the age, hold on, spelled that wrong, age of censorship over? Exclamation question mark. Yes or no? We're going to ahead and do this. Is the age of censorship over? There we go. Come on, chat. Let's vote for democracy. And if you can't join our YouTube live stream chat for democracy, you can even type into, is the age of censorship over? Type 1 for yes, Kit. It is. It's over. Stop being a negative Nancy. Type 2, man, it ain't over. It ain't ever over. You think it's over, Kit? You haven't been paying attention. I wonder how many 2s will show up in the chat. I wonder, do you ever wonder, right? Do you ever wonder? I got Make Humans Evolve say no. The Accord Lord says no. Yes. The golden age of Saturn, baby. The baby. It's me, Sarah P. Good to see everyone here in my Kick chat. That's why I love my Kick people. And I love my YouTube people. And my Rumble people. I wonder how many people are talking. Whoa. We're getting a lot of no's. Jacqueline Jack H says, don't make me laugh, Kit. I know. Democracy in the chat. Democracy in chat, indeed. So continuing on with the rest of the article. Continuing on, the Biden administration backed groups that were literally tagging and labeling voices in American politics, Ben Shapiro, the Federalists, and others, tagging them as foreign agents. A lot of people lost everything. A lot of channels got hit hard. Hardlands Media was one of them. I know a lot of them got hit. These last 4 years were not good on us. Not good on anyone. Not good. Believe you me, not good. The GEC had an annual budget of $61 million and employed around 120 workers. Hi, Philip and Frank. Those were my handlers. In December, congressional Republicans refused to renew its funding. Oh, isn't that great? U.S. President Donald Trump and his allies have long accused Democrats of weaponizing the government to suppress conservative opinions online. Not just conservative. In 2023, tech billionaire Elon Musk slammed the GEC as the worst offender in U.S. government censorship and media manipulation and a threat to our democracy. Journalist Matt Taibbi argued that the agency had tried suppressing discussions about COVID-19 under the guise of fighting Russian personas and proxies. Last year, a group of House Republicans wrote a letter to then Secretary of State Anthony Blinken claiming the GEC was biased in favor of American progressives. I didn't get the memo. It was favoring progressives. Oh, thank you. I wasn't aware of that. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. And worked to silence opinions deemed to be politically disfavored or inconvenient. You know, progressives got censored. Independents got censored. A lot of people got censored and suppressed. Okay, not just conservatives, not just libertarians, not just Trumpers. A lot of people did. It's like, come on, I got the 1,000-mile stare, coach. It isn't just one group. It was a lot of people who got censored. A lot of people, a lot of channels got taken down. And not just even independent media, but I'm talking about channels that cover different genres like entertainment or music or all this other stuff. A lot of people got hit. Now, I am hopeful that this administration doesn't do another clone copy of the GEC. I want to hope. But that's where we're at. Now, I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's removed. But I don't think it's gone. Like a monster from a horror movie, somehow there's a hint of it's still alive. Or like when Michael Myers is taken out. You know, you see him down, then all of a sudden you see him silently get up. Or either that, like Freddy Krueger, like his hand crawls out of the dirt and you see his fingers, you know, and his bladed hands. Something of that nature. Something like that doesn't go bye-bye. It gets hidden, only to return again, far more monstrous, far more frightening, till one day, no one's speaking.